Yo, Trevor, welcome back to the channel. For today's video, we're going to be going through the CDL teams that made champs, and we're going to basically be ranking them heading into EWC. This isn't going to just be like a placement video. I know most tier lists after champs or after tournaments are that, but there's been a couple of changes. But yeah, let's go through. It's going to be my EWC, basically power list, power bracket for that event, essentially. So starting off at number 8, I think personally the lowest team at champs, again, going to be surprising because they didn't finish bottom, right? COD did. COD finished last with Thieves, but I actually think Heretics, for me, are like the strangest team, and I put them 8. Now, there was a couple of options down there you'll see as we go into number 7, but the thing with Heretics that just really confuses me is, like, I don't know what they're good at. Like, I really don't. I feel like this team, I think they'll be a lot better next year, MW4. I think that's going to really fit their playstyle. The biggest kind of thing for me is the ARs, man. Like, I'm such a fan of Rancor and Super as well, but Rancor especially. But they haven't lived up to their standards this year, especially how they were last year. And for me, the Search and Destroy, they were so good, so dominant at Search and Destroy. And I just feel like they've lost a bit of that spark. Now, I know that they basically got belted by Optic, right? Round 1. They go down to losers. They win a map 5 against Koi. Now, Koi are definitely on my fraud list, right? We're going to get to them in a second. For me, Koi and Heretics were the bottom 2 standings, and like we could... pretty obvious, to be honest with you. They're just the worst 2 that made champs, in my opinion. And Falcon just absolutely belted Heretics. Like, they just absolutely belted them. And the reason I'm putting Heretics below Koi, even though they won, is because it was so close. Both teams wanted to lose. Like, if you watch that series, it honestly felt like both teams wanted to lose. So for me, they're going to be 8. Then we go straight over to number 7. Like I just mentioned, I think it's fairly obvious who's going to be number 7. It's going to be Toronto Koi. I really like this roster. I just think they're a little bit more talented than the Miami roster overall. I just think Kips, Kleenex, like, they've got real superstars. I feel like Heretics obviously have, like, Rancor, Real, Super. Like, they got good players as well, man. I think the talent's there for both teams, but for me, when you look at Koi, like, they just have a few more of that. I don't know, because saying it out loud, I don't know if that's true. I really don't. I don't know if it's fair to say they have more superstars. I think Koi was in a weird spot. They've just been better throughout the year for me, and then obviously not dropping, but getting rid of Joe for Abe wasn't ideal. I think mentally they kind of got chalked for that. Now, going into EWC, I know there's been a lot of rumors of, like, potential roster changes. I'm not too sure what's kind of going on with that right now. I'm gonna have a quick look, but I know that Koi's latest kind of plan was to try get Ethan, but apparently it just didn't happen due to, like, buyouts or something. But if they were to get Ethan, that would have been really good, man. I'm not sure what's going on. Apparently I've seen Abe's going back to the Bush, but they didn't even make it, so I don't really know what's going on there, because now Bush has got a team. So that was the last thing, that Abe was going to go to Bush for the qualifiers. He's not there now. I don't know what's going on with them, but the biggest thing I think is gonna probably happen is maybe Pred. Like, Pred's someone I think could make moves. We've got like a week or 2 before EWC, so it'll be interesting to see if they get Pred. I think they go for Neptune, man. Like, go for Neptune. I think they have a real shot. I really do. And that's the thing with this team. I think they're one roster away again from just unlocking this team. I'm surprised they didn't go for Beans. I know Beans is going to go to G2. Now, I don't know. They need to make a roster change for Abe or Insight. I think get rid of Insight. Look at this graphic right here. Like, Insight's on 8 to 12, Abe's on 24. Like, I know kills on everything. There's just too much of a difference. This is a random video as well, but I just think they have to make a move, man. I think Insight's done great over his years there. Let's make a move and let's see what we can do, man. But I'm sick and tired of talking about this team because I just think they're arse. I just think they just scammed, man. Then we go to G2. Have them 6th. I think, let's go through their champs run. Let's go through their champs run and see what happened. So they started off playing against FaZe, right, who obviously were the winners. They ended up losing 3-1. Now, I actually think, I know that they didn't take it to a map 5, but I actually think they were fairly competitive with FaZe, in my opinion. People seem to disagree, but I actually think they were fairly competitive with FaZe. And then they go through and they play Thieves, and then it reverse sweeping Thieves. Now, yes, the Thieves were a bit vulnerable, but to reverse sweep them was insane. Then they go through and play Gentlemates, and they kind of got belted 3-0, right? But they did play, like, the top teams. They played 3 of the top 4 top teams heading into champs, FaZe, Thieves, and Gentlemates. So they had a very tough side of the bracket, to be honest. So it's hard to judge them, because I do think they're better than Falcons and Koi right now. And I feel like Kremp is a real superstar. I just think they didn't have a lot of ice, especially at Major 4. They just didn't have a lot of ice. They lost like stupid round 11s to Falcons, very even to Falcons. What I will say is this new version of Falcons I do prefer over Koi with Aluka. But going into the tournament, I think Falcons and G2 are very, very neck and neck. And they're getting Beans now, so I am taking that into consideration. I do think Beans over Skies will bring some more slaying power. It'll be interesting. I do think they'll have a bit more firepower. And this team, man, I think they're my dark horses for EWC. Them and Falcons are real dark horses. Not to win, but to make a run. Like the way Falcons finished top 3 at Champs for me was very, very impressive. I do look at G2, like they could make a similar run potentially if things click for them. It's obviously a what if, but yeah, I don't mind them. So I think 6 is not bad for them. I think this roster change is gonna be quite kind of helpful for them. Then we go to our top 5. Interesting. I'm lowering Gentlemates down, man. I'm lowering Gentlemates down. They were in my top 4. Now, Major 4 was their event. Played unbelievable, right? And I was very, very curious to see how they perform without that crowd. That crowd was obviously a buff to the event, right? Of course, what a crowd they had. One of the best events I've ever seen. So I want to see how they play at Champs. They didn't play bad. They did not play bad, right? They started off in winners. They go through. They absolutely belt Koi. They 3-0 them. The biggest thing for me was how they played against Optic. They got 3-1. I think they got kind of slammed against Optic in that winners round 2. Then they go through to losers. They beat G2, right? 3-0. So fair enough. They slam G2. And then they get absolute, an absolute battle with Falcons, which they lose. But for me, Falcons, they just formed. I think you have to take out that Falcons team if you're Gentlemates. Because yes, they played great, but they just formed. I think they're going to be even stronger for EWC, right? Where you've had more experience, more time under your belt. So the fact that Falcons win, and I just think they looked more impressive in the tournament overall, in my opinion, than Gentlemates. I'm going to give the edge to Falcons here over Gentlemates. But yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. I do like the Gentlemates roster, though. I definitely think they're a very momentum, very hot team. If they can get going, I think they'll be good, man. It's just those top 3 teams, man. Can they get a win over those FaZe, Optic, and Thieves? Again, I know they beat FaZe at the last major. I do think the crowd was heavily involved in that. The momentum helped them. So I'm very curious to see now, because I think they're a very momentum-based team. If they can take out one of those top teams at EWC, I think they can definitely get through the momentum. And you got Joe, who I think is like top 2, top 3 player of the game. And when he gets going, he's something different, man. So yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see how they do, because you're seeing on the screen right now, this was a match that they actually beat FaZe, who were obviously the champs winners. So they can do it. They do have the firepower. It's just about the consistency. Can they chain those wins together to win an event? Right now, I don't know, but we're going to see at EWC. Then we go over to our top 4. And I mean, I think a lot of people, oh, you just thought of my number 3. But yeah, I think a lot of people could argue on form Falcons top 3, right? I think that's disrespectful to Thieves. I think Thieves have been so good overall. They were like number 1 coming into the event, in my opinion. Number 1, number 2, I guess, with Optic. Yes, they had a shitty event. Yes, Thieves got ran. Falcons came out shooting, right? I don't think I can discredit this Thieves team. Now, I want to have a very interesting conversation about Thieves, which we'll get to when I discuss them next. Let's focus on Falcons right now. What a roster move, and what a debut for Aluka. They only had a week of scrims, maybe a week and a half. To be that coordinated, to be that efficient, to play with that much confidence, it just seems like they were very prepared. They played very well, and I was very impressed with them. Celium had an insane event. Aluka came out firing. I still think if they could get Neptune, maybe for Kiz, I honestly would not put it past them to win EWC. The way this game's played, Black Ops 7, it is just pace, and it's pure aggression, and you just see how one change, Aluka for Pred, completely changes the whole style of the team. Because when you have somebody putting down that pressure, it just makes the whole team play faster, the trades are easier, everything just flows, right? And they absolutely came in with firepower. Now, it could be a balance of underestimating them, the surprise factor. That's another thing as well. Maybe teams didn't expect this, right? They kind of punched them in the mouth and they weren't expecting it. Also, again, we'll get to Thieves in a second, but Thieves definitely underperformed this event. So I don't know how much weight, how much stock we can have in this. However, saying that, I mean, Falcons go through. Yes, they lose to, so they beat Thieves. They got kind of belted by FaZe, right? They get 3-0 by FaZe. Then they run Heretics. Then they beat Gentlemen in a map 5 as well. Then they play Optic in not really a slammage. It was, I think it was a comfortable series for Optic. We're at 3-1. So they only lost to Optic and FaZe. I think that's respectable. I really do. So for me, they definitely warrant the top 4. Let's go into our top 3 and discuss why I have, I mean, you saw it already, but why I have Thieves over the Falcons. So Scrap had one of the worst events he's ever had. The worst event he's ever had. Now, the biggest thing I would say for this Thieves roster, I'm not going to just discredit them, because I think they could come back and win EWC, right? They're just that good. We've seen how good they are the whole year. Now, my biggest thing is the mental reset. We saw this last year. They were unbelievable Major 3 and 4. They came out flat at Champs. And then they kind of came out a little bit flat EWC as well. Not flat, like they lost to Optic, but, you know. And then the roster kind of imploded, right? My question and my theory is it happening again? Now, this is the thing with Scrap. I think once is whatever, 2 is a pattern, right? 2 is like, okay, now we're starting to see something. And my biggest thing is like, is it going to affect him? Is he in his own head right now? Like, he was the best player in the game. He was MVP. He won MVP and then had a shitty event, right? Now, a very confident player. But confidence players rely on confidence, right? When they're playing well, they're feeling good. And that was him the whole year. He was unbelievable. He was MVP. And then he goes through and has a bad series. And he has a shitty series. Now, I saw a lot of these PC things as well. I still think Scrap's unbelievable. Like, top 3 player in the game, right? So, I don't think he's lost his talent. But sometimes confidence is huge. Without confidence, you get in your own head. You start second-guessing stuff. You know, you can get in a spiral. So, I still have Thieves third. But it's going to be an interesting conversation to see what happens to them. That first map is going to be everything at the event. If they come in the first map and get slammed like they did in this series, I think question marks are going to start to happen. But it's going to be a group stage. I do think EWC, you have time to settle into the tournament, which is going to probably benefit Thieves right now. I think they need it. So I do think they're going to have time to settle in. But their real stage is going to be when they come up against a top team and they fight back, right? Because then you're going to see them, their resilience, their mentality. Because I feel like the thing with this Thieves roster, and even last year, like, when they were running teams, they were running them. When they got hit back, that's where they started to fall a little bit. So for me, the resilience is going to be everything, right? How resilient is this roster? We're going to find out EWC. But I can't just discredit what they've done, man. I can't have them fourth because of a bad event. Yes, it was a shitty event, but this team's godlike. They are godlike. They can come in, they can absolutely win EWC. So let's see how they do. Then we go to our top 2. You guys know, if you don't know, I am a huge Optic fan. But yeah, I gotta give credit to FaZe, man. All right, let's talk about it. So top 2, obviously Optic and FaZe. I've got to put Optic 2 just because they didn't win. You know, that's just the way it is. Am I worried? No, not at all. I will say that FaZe have their number. There's 2 variables here that I want to talk about. One is the fact that FaZe seem to have their number right now. They just seem to be matching up good against them. You know, they beat them in the Major 2 tournament finals, kind of ran them. They kind of ran them in the grand finals here. They ran them in the winners finals. That's 3 series where they kind of belted them, right? That's a lot. Sometimes matchups just go against each other. Like this year, you see Thieves kind of had that weird mental edge over FaZe as well, winning those round 11s. Optic and Thieves kind of went back and forward with each other. But FaZe just seemed to have the matchup against Optic. So it's just one of those where for EWC, it's going to be very interesting what happens if they match up again. Now, sometimes what happens is when you have enough reps, especially a team like Optic, they're going to look back and learn from it, right? And who knows, maybe they come out different. Now, what I will say is they lost 3 round 11s. That could break most teams. This Optic team seems very resilient to me. Very resilient. And I think winning champs in EWC last year gave them so much goodwill in the tank that this has been a crazy year for them. Like, in terms of fortune and luck, like, they've had none when it's mattered the most. Now, obviously, my point is, if you looked on paper and you wrote down, okay, we're going to go to this map. We're going to go to a map 9. And a team's going to win it. And then a map 9 again. Like, they lost to Gentlemates in the last map. They lost to, like, Thieves in the last map in the grand finals. Then they lost 3 round 11s. Like, it's been tough, man. It's been tough. But it really has come down to the Search and Destroy. The S&D ice factor, I just don't think has been there for Optic this year compared to maybe last year. And you've seen it in multiple events. That's going to be the biggest thing for them. Can they clean up that Search and Destroy? Even though Optic have looked, like, FaZe look really good in hard points. Like, Optic managed to win this hard point. They managed to take another respawn off them. Like, they look good, man. It's just the S&D has really, really been it for Optic. And I think if they can just focus on the S&D going into EWC, I think they could win it. But I'm not worried about this roster, and I don't think they need to make a roster change. I think the biggest thing is going to be is just mentally if it's too much to handle and they collapse and they're like, right, we need a change because of how much fortune's gone against us, which I think is also fair. Like, competing in a sport and then you boom, going back to back, second. All right, we win it, boom, second again. I mean, first of all, you got to talk about the consistency. What a season they've had in terms of consistency. It's been phenomenal. It's just tough, man. Losing back to back, like, it's tough. It really is. Round 11s as well. 3 round 11s. I mean, they definitely choked them as well, but they have to be in their own head, man. Like, look, they won this first map, and look how much deficit they were in. They won it, but the pacing that FaZe have, man, they're really up there, man. Let's move over to team number 1 in the power rankings. Shout out to your champions, Atlanta FaZe. Atlanta FaZe, man. You know what I will say? They deserve the win. They were great. They still look beatable. They're still a beatable team. They don't, like, Thieves during Major 3 kind of look godlike. This FaZe team don't look godlike to me. Like, they're really good, but they could be beaten. I think the biggest thing they had this event was just the clutch. The clutch factor was just insane. Again, 3 round 11s, like, winning them all. But one thing I will say about this FaZe roster is I think Simp's playstyle has finally enabled the rest of his team. And I'm a Shotzi guy, right? And I'm not even arguing. People say Simp's a go. I'm not a Simp hater. I think he's unbelievable. But what I will tip, right, and what I will talk about is I thought his playstyle before was a bit more selfish. It was a bit more kill orientated. And I think what that did is that allowed him to thrive, but it didn't get the best out of his team. And I think O4 is a perfect example. We saw O4 struggle a lot this year. And I think the biggest thing was when you're having a sub that's blitzing it down by himself, it's really hard to do anything because you need the trades. You need to put damage down. He needs to be like with his teammates because when you're going in first, you're not necessarily going to get the kills. You're going to get damage down. And it's kind of like a back and forward thing, right? But I don't think he had someone blitzing with him. I think Simp has now adjusted his playstyle. He's been a lot more aggressive. And I think the way this game's played, you need that. But the reason why I tip it so much is because he did that and he was still MVP. I think Abuser was MVP, but Simp was still godlike. So the fact that he could just change his playstyle to this new fast blitzing playstyle and still run it down is so impressive. Because he's a slower sub and he's godlike at that. The fact that he could change his gears, go aggressive, and still be that good shows why you could call him the GOAT. You really can. He's that good. He is that good. So I want to shout out that because I do think that his earlier playstyle did actually expose the team. Now he's actually excelling the team, and you can see how good they are. I also think Draza on LAN is a different animal compared to online. He struggles a lot online. This team online is not the same animal, right? On LAN, they're very good. But for me, Abuser was everything. The thing with Abuser is he's not the fanciest name on paper, right? He's not the Scraps, the Hydras, the Mercuries, or the Dashies, the players that's been around for years, won championships. He's a new guy, right? He comes on in, he has an MW3, he's all right on Surge. Last year, he's pretty good, gets all the grand finals. This guy's pretty good. But wow, this year, the way he's leveled up, and he had a fucking takeover event. Definitely deserved MVP. But he's been good all year long, man. He really has. Him and Simp have been the consistent players all year long. I think Draza turns up on LAN as well. And I think the thing with O4's playstyle is he just needs other people playing with him because his takeover is one of the best in the games as well. So you have like these different recipes, and when they work together, you have such a fine product. So I think the biggest thing with FaZe is there's a lot of variables that have to go right, but when they do go right, it is fucking crazy good. So that's the thing with FaZe. I think that they could go and win the EWC. And I think they could be even better next year, right? They're probably going to stick to the roster. They won champs. They're very likely. Unless they get somehow belted, right? I think they're going to stick to the roster. They're a very, very good team. But I think in the grand scheme of things, a lot of things have to go right for this roster. Like the way Abuser played 3 round 11s, like a lot had to go right for them to win it. That's why I just don't think they're like, I'm not looking at them like, wow, they're unbeatable, you know? But they definitely deserved it. Really good team. And they're power ranking number 1, man. Hope you guys enjoyed this little power ranking video. Just kind of giving my thoughts on all the roster. And yeah, hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, make sure to drop a like, subscribe, and I'll catch you guys for another video tomorrow. Peace.